in the workforce will turn 50 or older this year and might start thinking of changing careers or maybe pursuing a passion and setting up their own businesses. But the thought of all that can spark a lot of uncertainty and fear. So here to help us navigate a solid path, please welcome self-employment and entrepreneurial coach Maggie Karshner and career coach Carissa Morris. Welcome you both. So give us just kind of a brief summary of your work. Let's start with you, Maggie.
Oh, sure. So I'm a self-employment entrepreneurship coach, so I help people start businesses, typically things that are service-based and where you're really just going to be working for yourself. So it's taking your own expertise and putting it out into the world.
How'd you get started doing that?
Well, I started myself actually in a consulting role with corporations. Felt it was too big,
your own business.
Moved it to a smaller scale.
So you've done it. Snap,
Yeah.
you've already done it. Okay, Carissa, tell me about what your work involves.
I'm a career coach and life coach and therapist, and I help people figure out what they want to be when they grow up.
Yep.
Even if that's at 55.
Or remember what it was that they wanted to be when they grew up. Okay, so let's talk about after 50, what this is like realistically. I always feel like we say, yeah, you can do anything, and then, you know, it doesn't feel like that when you get to a stage in life where, you know, most of your work life is behind you. So how do you deal with people to kind of get over that fear, that hump?
Sure, I think there's a lot of fear in starting a business at any age.
At any age, right?
Yeah,
it's
at
a
any
risk,
age.
no matter when you start a business.
Yeah, I think it's a really manageable risk. I think that it's important to take stuff in small pieces. Like, let's make a plan. Let's look at what it's actually going to look like, and then move from there. And so, you know, there's a lot of pieces. Like, what would I do? How much can I make from doing this? How much money do I need to start it? And I think those are all just questions that we can find answers to.
And as you get that uncertainty removed, you can gain more confidence. Exactly. So let's talk about the flip side of that. The advantage of starting a business over 50 is that you know more than you knew when you were 25.
Exactly.
So there is that. Does that play into people's overcoming this fear?
I think so. I think there's a huge opportunity over 50 because you have a lifetime of experience, a lifetime of doing various things, and any one of those things that you might have expertise level status in can become any number of careers or jobs or businesses. So, you know, if you're an expert in something, you can consult, you can teach, you can do that thing as a service. Like, there's so many different ways if we just get creative about thinking about it.
You can get going. Okay, since you're a therapist,
yes.
Let's talk about career change. Oftentimes people will get to be 50, 55, and they'll think, why am I doing the job I'm in? How did I get here?
Yeah.
And yet, it is just such a frightening prospect in many ways to say, well, I'm going to leave this all behind. I'm going to leave behind the financial services and open a catering business or whatever. What is involved with sort of gathering yourself for that kind of change?
I am a big proponent of getting really clear and confident about your strengths. What are your skills? What's your experience? And really bolstering that in yourself, like really getting good at owning your strengths, talking about them, owning them, and it also really helps to get some external feedback. You know, ask your loved ones, ask colleagues, ask you know, anyone who's worked with you, and get some feedback about what your strengths and skills are, because it can be hard to recognize that in ourselves.
In yourself.
Know? The things that we're naturally good at,
right.
we're like, oh, I'm just natural at it.
Or reconnecting with a passion. You know, you talked about this idea of, you know, what you wanted to be when you were growing up, and then sort of looking at where you are now. Do those things match at all? But I do know some people who've done that and have been so happy, and I think they had this ability to imagine something different.
Yeah.
How do we develop that vision so that we can see our lives differently? Because that seems exciting to me that, okay, I'm 50, well, I'm not, but, you know, I'm a little more than that. But if you are, and you don't want to say, okay, then my possibilities are narrow, there's still the same number of possibilities there always were in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to think of it as a diamond shape. So you start by expanding the possibilities, really exploring different ideas. Any thoughts, any ideas that you have, get them all on the table, and then choose a couple to focus on and learn more about. And then, so then you do the narrowing process. it can be really useful to use books or use a coach or use, some tools like that to help you expand what you think is possible and help develop that vision.
And you do that with people who are changing careers, not
Yeah.
necessarily opening new businesses, but
Right.
who are saying, okay, I'm going to make a move over here. So obviously identifying your strengths and what new things that might apply to are really important.
Yeah.
What have you learned about people who are able to make this leap in terms of qualities or processes that we can learn from?
It takes a lot of courage. And there is a leap, there's always a leap at some point, no matter how well you plan or how sure you are, there's always that leap of faith. It also takes a certain amount of commitment, so really committing to the change, committing to the process, even though fear and doubt might come up.
Don't go halfway.
Yeah.
You won't make that leap if
Yeah.
you're doing it halfway. And what's the benefit of doing that? What do people get out of this when they're able to make the leap?
Well, I think you feel really good about yourself. It doesn't feel good to feel stuck in a career that you're tired of or it's not a good match for who you are. And so there's a huge amount of pride that comes from being able to make that change and having the courage to do so.
Do you see that same thing in people who open businesses?
Oh, definitely. I also think it's a great opportunity to learn something new. Like sometimes we feel stuck simply because we don't know what opportunities we have left to learn things. And learning more about yourself, changing careers, starting a business, all of these things are part of each other and are a great opportunity to get some new excitement.
You might not know what a business plan is, but you can find out. You
Yeah.
can learn this.
Yeah.
And you make such a good point that a lot of these businesses are really consultancies or simply selling the skills you have for yourself rather than for a corporation.
Exactly.
So we're not necessarily talking about building a business with 100 employees, but just working for yourself as opposed to somebody else.
Yeah.
Is that a particular thing that seems to work well in this economy as people are kind of not as certain of their jobs, not assured that they can work for a company till the gold watch era, et cetera, that they have to be a little bit more individually mobile?
Yeah, I think some of it is the economy, some of it is this is where we are in the world right now. I think some of it though also is that it's an opportunity for more independence. Like we get to do this ourselves. We don't have to have a boss anymore. And it's, what does my work want to look like? So I think it's freeing as well as sort of responding to other forces.
That's a good point. Thank you both so much. Great discussion. Please visit our website for more information and resources on these topics. And up next, we could all use a little laugh these days, so we've compiled some of the funniest YouTube videos and other things that we've found out there. I love this one. I love it so much. Doesn't that look good? We'll be right back.